Problem solving. You've been working on a project and it's been coming along and you run into a bit of a problem and something needs to be sorted out. Typically people will jump in to try very quickly find a solution. And what I want today to do is just give you a 4-step process, some tools you can use to very quickly solve problems, but often the situation I find in the work I do is that, and people I'm consulting to, is that they've tried to solve a problem but they haven't really thought it all through. So they think they have a solution and they come to me and I say that's not going to work and they wonder why, and then I sit down and explain why, because they haven't thought it all through. So what I want to do today is to give you very quickly a 4-step process to help you solve your problems. First one is doing a mind map. Who knows anything or have used mind maps in the past? Terrific, we've got a few. It's a great tool to be able to get down the issues. What you do, put a little box or circle on a page or on a whiteboard and put down the problem or the issue that you've got to deal with. And then what you do is you start thinking, what are the things that are impacting on the issue? Think of the things you've been working on, what are some of the problems. So you start, the tentacles coming out, and some might have further things, issues coming from them, and jot them all down. And no idea is really a bad idea as to the impact on the issue. Put them all down. If you've got any questions along the way, please just interrupt, don't wait to the end. So what you want to try to do is really capture all the things that impact on this particular problem that you might have. As many as possible, but don't spend this, days pondering and sleepless nights thinking, have I got everything? So it's only the first step. So you want to try to get as many of the things that impact on this particular problem down as possible. The second step is what's known as the Pareto Principle, commonly the 80-20 rule. Everyone's heard of the 80-20 rule, haven't you? So what are the things on all your arms of your mind map, what are the ones that are going to have the biggest impact on the problem? The 3 or 4 that have the biggest impact you want to circle, underline, highlight and identify. Because the reality is if there's a whole lot of 10, 15 issues, you're not going to be able to deal with all of them. So you think, what are the ones that are going to have the biggest impact? And if you're doing it as a group exercise, have the discussion around what everyone thinks is going to be the ones that are going to impact the most. And come to some decision-making process, whether it's by votes and using a very democratic one or the process of elimination, but come to the 3, 4 at max issues. Then we move on to the third step of the process. Who's ever dealt with a force field or done a force field in their life? We've got 1 or 2. I use these tools all the time. What you do is, having identified your 3 or 4 matters that are going to impact most on your problem, you just do 2 lines down the middle of a page and write that particular problem down the middle, or that particular thing in the issue in the middle. On, let's say there is the positive side, on the left-hand side as you're looking at it, draw some lines across to the vertical line and say, what are the things that will have a positive impact on this particular issue? And jot them down. Then on the right-hand side as you're looking at it, do the same thing, but what are the barriers? What are the things that are preventing me or preventing you sorting this issue out and moving forward? So what are the potential barriers? And this one, in making more time available, we've got lack of resources, poor email usage, too many jobs to do, distractions, geographical spread. On the positive side, we've got simplified objectives, good team, proactive meetings, Skype technology, high energy. So then what you want to do, and you can't have one on both sides, so either a positive or a negative, a barrier. So what you want to do is saying, what actions, and the key thing is actions, what actions can we take that will increase the positive influences on this particular issue? You don't solve problems without doing things. So then we're going to have up here, we've got 24 odd items. We're not going to be able to action 24 items simultaneously, because inevitably if you try to do that, you're going to run into a problem of not completing everything, because you've got competing priorities. So once again, we want to come down, what are the things that are going to have the biggest impact on this issue? What's going to make the biggest difference? And if it's in a group situation, once again, you might do it by way of a democratic process I often use of giving people 2 or 3 votes and seeing what people are going to come up with. And if they miss, and we sit back at the end of the voting process and say, do we think we've got it right? Have we missed anything? If it's on your own, you've got to weigh up and say, what's going to be the things that have the biggest impact? So they can move forward and trying to solve the problem. The final step is documenting into a one-page plan. I use one-page plans all the time with my clients and myself, and I've got a team of about 20 people. Every one of them got their own one-page development plan. So we've worked through this process. So what you would have done at the start is put down on the particular problem, where are we now? And then look at where. What's the end game? If you solve this problem, what are things going to look like? Do it by way of bullet points. You have a title, probably put a date of when the problem is going to be solved. When you came across and did the mind map and came back with your 3 top issues, which you would have done an individual force field for each of those issues. You write them under the strategies. And with each force field, you'd want about 3, maybe 4 at the most, actions. You put them under the action plans there, just in bullet point form. So you can record then what you're going to do to solve this problem. And you've thought through what are the key issues that are going to impact on solving this problem, what actions can we take to resolve it. Then you create responsibility and accountability by allocating 1 or more persons that are going to do the actions. So none of the actions have been left without someone being responsible for making sure they're done, maybe not having to do it themselves, but being responsible and accountable for making sure they occur. And the last thing is setting dates of which things are going to happen by. Use it, because it does work very well, gets a bit of discipline into it, which is what you need in managing good projects, is a lot of discipline. So thank you very much. Any questions, happy to answer them.